Stay ready is the mentality birthed through the trials and triumphs of life as an NFL long snapper. Join me in conversations with teammates, mentors, friends, and family who help me realize that stay ready is so much more. A deeply rooted principle of life in all things faith, family, and football. Welcome to another Stay Ready podcast episode. We are offsite today at Lipscomb Academy here in Nashville. And today I got a special guest. I got elite trainer, mentor, husband, father, a man that wears many caps, J Holt. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, my dude? How you doing, man?
Good, man. Good to have you, man. So, hey, you know, I've known you now for about a couple years, you know, just within the athletic community here in Nashville. You really have become like a staple trainer. And I really wanted to sit down with you here on the podcast and share a little bit about your story and get to know you a little bit better. But I really want to capture kind of like this phenomena, this culture that you've really helped create here in Nashville within training, within the NFL in particular. But even outside of the NFL, you become, you know, a coach and a trainer for elite athletes across all the entire spectrum. From young kids, you know, that are in middle school, high school, college, to everyday, you know, mom and dads, you know, your 5:30 a.m. clientele, or even you guys are grinding early, to the elite of the elite. You know, we got, you know, George Kittle, Michael Chandler in the MMA, you know, you got other celebrities that come through here. But particularly right here at Lipscomb, it's become like this, in the past like 2 to 3 years, it's become like this hub now, you know, and I just think it's incredibly cool. And I train here. I don't train with you personally, but from afar, I have gained this like incredible respect for you because you're here every day. You're here from dawn until dusk, and you bring this aura, this energy here that is just like contagious. And it's a testament to your passion, because they're coming here every year. It gets bigger and bigger. And you know, tight end right is now coming here now with all the tight ends across the league, and you've become kind of like that, the spearhead in that, where you're leading the guys through agilities and drills and all kind of stuff. But I mean, I've just wanted to sit down and talk to you, get to know you better, get to know the man, the husband, the trainer, the coach, the mentor. But man, welcome to the Stay Ready podcast, bro. And I guess let's go back. Like, who is J Holt? Who is J Holt? Like, everyone knows you by J Holt, man. But
man, who is J Holt? J Holt is a first and foremost God-fearing individual. Who is living his life through gratitude and just submitting to the process and letting God take care of the outcome.
I love that, man.
You know, I'm just honored to wake up every single day and chase my dreams, do what I love, and have a great family at home behind me who I get to go home to every single day.
Yeah, man. So talking about that a little bit, you're married now. How long have you guys been married for?
We've been married for 4 years.
4 years? How many kids?
Two.
2.5
and 11 months.
Oh, congratulations, man. Yeah, my daughter's a little bit older than your second. We're right about that 15-month mark. But being a dad is an incredible honor. It's the coolest thing ever. So speaking of training, like, let's go back further. You know, we're here at Lipscomb. You went to high school here. Let's talk a little bit about your athletic career, and then kind of how you transitioned into training and kind of your growth within this industry.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I started off my freshman year. I wasn't worth a penny with a hole in it. Honestly, I was not good. You know, but I had the drive and I had the want to. I love the sport. And so after my freshman year, I spent countless hours in that room right there, that weight room right behind us. Just making myself a more disciplined athlete, more disciplined individual, putting in a lot of unseen hours, a lot of work. And it really paid off. My sophomore year, ended up getting a little bit of playing time. Ended up starting towards the end of the year. And then my junior and senior year kind of took care of themselves because of the foundation that I'd laid in the summers prior to the season. And it was one of those things where, you know, every kid has the aspirations of going to this big, you know, prestigious school. I wanted to go to the University of Miami. I wanted to go to a huge school and play ball, but God had a different plan. I wasn't really a sought-after recruit. Had the talent, I felt like, and just wasn't getting the looks and was kind of overlooked. So which it led me to the Division II route, which I firmly believe there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm a Division II player myself.
There we go.
So, yeah,
there we go. Let's go.
Respect, man. Yeah.
So I played Division II ball at Harding University.
Okay.
And loved it. Wouldn't change a thing. But never really got the crack at the league that I wanted. And I knew I was gonna have to take a different alternative route. So it's always been, that underdog mentality, that grind mentality where you've got to push through and beat the odds, even if you do feel like, you're deserving of that opportunity or that chance.
Sure.
And so that's kind of always been instilled in me. That's kind of where I started. That's where I got that chip on my shoulder, and I've kind of just never let it go. Continue to push through.
So to give people like more context about Lipscomb, the Lipscomb Academy that's here.
Yeah.
So I'm from the Bay Area in California. At the time, like, the late 90s, early 2000s, like De La Salle High School was like the premier. Maurice Jones-Drew and, Kevin Simon and, all these big time dogs, and, they won like 150 in a row, like just was unstoppable. Lipscomb is starting to like become that here in the state of Tennessee. So, we're sitting right here in this beautiful high school locker room. Like this is probably nicer than my D2 locker room. The weight room, the indoor facility. I mean, this is like why it attracts so many people. But was Lipscomb, when you were in school here, was Lipscomb what it is now? I mean, was it even close to what it is now?
So when I was in school here, the whole landscape of high school football is completely different.
Sure.
Just from watching the way these kids get recruited now and how social media can take them to a whole nother level. And now you got kids getting NIL deals in high school.
Yeah.
But I would say when I was in high school, we were a very, very affluent and prestigious team. Like we were a powerhouse. I played 4 years of high school football, and I went to the state championship 4 years in a row.
Okay. All right.
So it was one of those things where we had a very good team, but it was just completely different, landscape.
Like the culture was different?
Culture was different, and we were probably not as talented as the kids are nowadays.
Yeah.
But I would go toe to toe with anybody, anytime, anywhere with the guys I played with, just because it was a brotherhood, and it was more or less like I don't really care about who's on the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
I'm not really trying to take their head off. I just love the person beside me so much that I'm gonna do my job at 110%.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we really won a lot of football games.
Yeah.
Is because the dudes that were standing beside me in my wedding were the guys that were lining up beside me, on the field on Friday nights. And so we had an incredible culture here, and they are creating an incredible culture here now with just the way they're able to go get talent and have people come in, and it's like you said, becoming that, that De La Salle, all that stuff out in Cali, where people are seeking Nashville to come move to, and then when they look for a high school, the first place they look at, Lipscomb Academy. So they're doing great things here now as well.
Yeah, and that's I know many came before Coach Dilfer, but Trent Dilfer being the head coach obviously brings a lot of notoriety to the school. He played in the NFL at elite level for a long time as a quarterback, Super Bowl winning quarterback. Just a man of integrity. And so he's been here now for a few years, going on like year 3 maybe as a head coach. And then won state this past year. And training here, like I see the kids that are coming in and out of this locker room, like there's no way this kid is 16 years old. They're massive. It is so there was no one on my high school team even close to 300 pounds. No, like our O-line was probably 220, 230. Receivers were not running 4.4s. They were running 4.7s, 4.8s. They weren't 6'3". I mean, it's just the game has changed so much, and I think it comes down to the training.
Yes.
Training wasn't, back, I graduated high school in 2003, and training was just that seasonal thing. It was I didn't touch a weight until I had to with football. Like, all right, we're hitting the summer schedule, or there was no fall schedule. There was no winter schedule. And there was no programming to where nothing was ever methodical. It was like a very generic program written on a chalkboard, and everyone's doing the same thing. There was no dynamic warm-up. There was no positional work. it was everyone, quarterbacks are doing the same exact workout as the O lineman. And that was 20 years ago. It is evolved so much. So as a trainer now, let's kind of talk about how you got into the training, but maybe touch on just like, even within the training and the fitness industry, it's always evolving. But maybe talk about like, you know, the biggest like difference you see when you were in high school as far as training and that aspect to where it is now, to where like, you know, these kids are now in this weight room 24/7. You know, they're not skipping a beat.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's crazy, like you said. So, I mean, when I was in high school, we didn't.
When did you graduate?
I graduated in 2008.
Okay, so we're 5 years apart, but that's a big 5 years as far as like how things.
But I mean, strength and conditioning was bench press and back squat. And power clean.
Yeah,
that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
And you know, there weren't, you know, a lot of position specific trainers. There was, you know, speed coaches and stuff like that. But we were encouraged to just play other sports. Just go out and be a kid. Play other sports. That's how you become an athlete. And you know, I think that, you know, part of me being in the position I'm in today is some of, you know, right place, right time. Everything is always evolving. It's always going to continue to evolve. And, you know, I just kind of hit, you know, the training field right when it was beginning to evolve. And I was able to stick my flag in the ground as someone who can help these kids on a more personal level. It's one of those things where strength and conditioning coaches don't have a ton of time and they have a lot of kids. So if I'm a coach at a, you know, a high school here, I've got 90 football kids on the team, and I've got an hour, I've got to cut a lot of stuff out. And I've got to make the same workout for a 300-pound O lineman as I do a 140-pound, you know, freshman. So, you know, you're kind of limited to what you can do. And I think that's where a lot of people saw the gap, and training became, oh, well, my son needs this. Or my daughter needs this.
It's more specialized.
And so now it became more specialized. And I was able to kind of take that and run with it and say, exactly. So I've always, you know, never tried to be in opposition to anybody's strength coach or anybody's, you know, program that they've got going with their school. It's more or less me trying to be an enhancement to that and help them, you know, add a wrinkle to whatever they're trying to accomplish. So, I mean, it's like you said, that training has evolved a ton, and it's going to continue to evolve. Nothing ever really stays the same. So it's just continue to find places where there is a gap and fill it.
So at Harding, when you became a senior, you were, you know, kind of at the tail end of your college career. Was there an opportunity to play at the next level? Maybe speak on that and kind of where the fork in the road came, where you hung up the cleats and now you're taking on becoming a full-time trainer.
I mean, I was the typical meathead athlete, man. I mean, from the time I was, you know, as long as I can remember, it was about sports. You know, baseball, basketball, football. And so I never thought about what I wanted to be. I had an incredible athletic trainer here at the school. Shout out Ken Tyler. And he took care of me through every single bump, bruise, injury I ever had. And it was one of those things where for a little bit, I thought maybe I want to be an athletic trainer, you know, maybe I want to do sports medicine. And I got on campus and I took biology my freshman year, and I said, no chance. And so I went back to, I'm just going to play ball. And we'll figure it out later. I never had a plan B. It was always play in the NFL or figure it out. And after my senior year, I didn't get any calls. I had a couple workouts with some teams, but nothing really shook. And so I came back to Nashville, and I'm on my mom's couch. And I'm just like, dude, I gotta make some moves. I gotta make something happen. So I got a job at Nike. I got a job at D1, and I was cleaning up, you know, a dialysis clinic center at at nighttime after hours. So I was working 3 jobs, trying to train to stay in shape, just in case the team called. Cold emailing all these CFL teams. I just wanted to play ball. I had no aspirations to do anything else. And finally got a shot in the CFL with a couple teams, made it to camp. But going back to that moment where, you know, you just have that realization with the fork in the road, I'd been dating my now wife for a little under a year. We've been dating for several months. We were still in that that honeymoon phase where we did everything together, and I'd gotten us tickets to a concert, and we were super excited about the concert, couldn't wait to go, and then I get a phone call that was like, "Hey, can you be down in Florida for minicamp at this time?" And I said, "Yeah."
Yeah.
You know, and she was cool with it, but she was a little bummed. She was like, "Oh, you know, we've been planning to go to this," and that was the first time I felt like I was putting something on hold.
Yeah.
You know, other than like, okay, whatever it was in the, you know, before that could wait. Like, this is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
That was the first time I felt like, man, I'm kind of like giving her the cold shoulder for this.
Yeah.
And I went down there. I was there for 2 days. Yeah. Didn't really pan out.
Yeah.
Came back, missed the concert.
Yeah.
At that moment, I remember I texted one of the best man in my wedding. He ended up being the best man in my wedding, one of my best friends. He had a job doing commercial real estate.
Okay.
And I texted him. I said, "Dude, I'm hanging him up."
Yeah.
Like, he'd always been my ride or die, my right hand man. With
he was
ball.
the one always pushing you to keep going, and
well, he was the one who we always pushed each other.
Okay.
I mean, he was you know, an incredible athlete. Yeah. We did everything together during high school, and I texted him. I was like, "Dude, I think I'm hanging him up."
Yeah.
And within 8 days, I think I had a job offer letter from the company he was at.
Yeah.
And so I kind of took that, and that was kind of like the moment where I realized, okay, I'm not playing ball anymore. I'm going to go in this route and do commercial real estate.
Yeah.
And it's funny that I ended up going that route because I ended up coming full circle, getting back into training. That's kind of how I kind of hit that fork in the road and made the decision to go.
Yeah. Were you at peace with that though? Did playing ball still eat at you? And
no, I think in the moment, yes.
Yeah.
I still kind of had that urge and that itch.
Yeah.
But once I made the decision, I remember talking to my boss, and he was like, "The football itch is gone, right? Because if I offer you this job,
he wants to know you're committed.
I want to know you're committed."
Yeah.
And so I had to mentally check out and say, "You know what, I'm done."
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been training, and you know, I love training. I love ball. I love sports, and so I still had it in me. But I mentally checked out. I'm not playing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play football anymore.
Yeah.
So if I do anything with sports, it's going to have to be with training.
Yeah.
Is
that how you made that full circle? You're like,
I made the full circle. I made the full circle because I never stopped training. That was the mistake, right?
Yeah.
Is like, okay, I'm taking this job, corporate hours, 8 to 5.
Yeah.
So what are you doing before 8 o'clock? Training.
Yeah.
What am I doing at lunchtime? Training.
Yeah.
What am I doing after hours?
Yeah.
Training.
Yeah.
And so it was just one of those things where I distinctly remember sitting at the kitchen counter and stressed out.
Yeah.
Like, there's just, I got to be up at 6 in the morning. I got to train. You know, I got to be up at 5. I got to train somebody at 6.
Yeah.
Then I got to train for lunch. Only get an hour.
So you're juggling two things. Where you're training people on the side?
I'm asking my boss for a little longer lunch break so I can do these guys for the combine.
Yeah.
I'm asking to, you know, I'm leaving. I'm rushing out of work.
And you're at D1 doing this part-time? Or just on your own?
Yeah, I'm at D1.
Cool Springs?
I'm at D1, Cool Springs.
Okay, yeah.
Doing this part-time. I just distinctly remember sitting at the kitchen counter, and my wife was like, "Just quit."
Yeah.
And that was when, I feel like when she said that, because I was, you know, I'm trying to be the man and try to okay, we got 401k, we got benefits, we got this. I don't want to go backwards. I'm trying to provide.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Just quit."
Yeah.
And I feel like when she said that, everything just got lifted off.
Just affirmation.
And I loved my job.
Like
I didn't hate what I was doing. I wasn't that guy in corporate America that was like, oh.
Yeah.
It was just like a relief that like, you know, you don't have to feel that pressure. Like, I want you to be happy.
Yeah.
I want you to do what you love.
And your passion was training.
My passion was training. I never let go.
Yeah.
So it's obviously there's something there. So that's kind of how it got back full circle, and I got back in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously it's nerve-wracking. You start off.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna make this work.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm not at D1 anymore.
Yeah.
So kind of touching on that, I was at D1, and then once I jumped back in full time, it was one of those things. I'm on my own now.
Yeah.
I got to figure it out. I can't go into D1. I've got to find another place to do it. And it just so happened the reason that we're sitting here at this school is because my coach, when I was in high school, was the head coach still.
Yeah.
And I was training a couple kids at D1 that went here, and they had just built this brand new indoor facility. No other school in the state had one at the time. This is 2016.
Yeah.
And he wanted to get eyes on it. So he was like, dude, bring those guys over here, train them over here, so we can, you know, like have some people see our facilities. And I'm like, Coach, I know you want me to train a couple. I don't think you want me to bring like all my. He's like, bring them. And this man is like a second father to me. He's done, you know, so much for me. So, if it wasn't for him allowing me to bring these people over here, then, you know, I may not be sitting here today, but I'll bring them over here. And the next thing you know, it's like we're kind of helping each other because the amount of traffic and people that come through here and the big names.
Now people are asking about you, like, who's that?
Like, who's that? J Holt? And so it's a win-win situation for both sides.
Yeah. So 2016 is kind of when you made your transition full-time into training.
17. So I was still kind of in the transition of leaving the. I gave them plenty of time to say, hey, like I'm not just gonna leave in 2 weeks. Not bouncing. Like a lot of projects on my table.
Sure.
I'll give you some time. So 2017 is when I really spearheaded. Had nothing else on my plate but training.
Yeah. So 2017 full time now. You're fully into, you know, you got athlete at the time. Is that fair to say that you started athlete?
So that's when I started it. Yep.
Yeah, and so you got your own. You put your name, your stamp is on your own business now. You're doing this as a full-time thing. You're doing all this stuff here on site at Lipscomb. I'll mention a few names. You got, you know, Josh Cuthbert, right? He's a kind of a pivotal figure in your life as far as you guys kind of being two separate entities, but, you know, kind of have that coexist together as far as training people. He's the strength. You're kind of this on-field agility and speed. Where does Josh come into play? And then how do the guys like Kittle start trickling it in? And how do they find you?
So, I mean, to touch on Josh a little bit, man, I think it's just an incredible and unique relationship that we have. And then it's also one of those things where being here, there's not a ton in our world, you know, like with training trainers and strength coaches. There's a lot of egos, man. There's a lot. And I think one thing that me and Josh have been able to do so well is locate our ego in our relationship. And never, ever feel like I'm here, you're there. We want to work together. And that's why it's been so cohesive. And I think that's why you see so many guys continue to flow in because I respect him so much. I know he's really good at what he does. And he returns that favor, respects me as well. And so we're able to share guys like George and Trent and Rob and TJ and all these guys are able to say, we're not missing a beat. Like I'm on one strand right here. It's easy for me to kind of flow through this whole process and get my whole off season in. And so, you know, when I was training here, one of Josh's former teammates was also training with me. And so when George came back in town with Trent, I'd been working with Trent since he was a redshirt freshman. So I brought Trent.
Who's Trent?
Taylor. So wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. I had brought him from D1 since the time he was a redshirt freshman to the time he got drafted. He got drafted the same year as George. They did their combine training together. Trent and George Kittle became really good friends. And so Trent, you know, talked George into moving down here for the offseason. Once he did that, I was training a group of guys. Benny Cunningham, one of your former teammates. Trent Taylor. Quentin Patton. And Quentin and Josh were former teammates. So it was an easy, organic relationship to say, hey.
There's a lot of crossover. Like, people know each other.
Listen, this is who I do my field stuff with. This is who I lift with. And so everybody just kind of followed the court and got on the same page. And I'll say, you know, with Josh and I, you know, we were given a platform, and because we're good at what we do, we were able to take that little bit of notoriety and run with it and become who we are today in the community as, you know, a staple of two guys, you know, among many others in the area that train a lot of the pro athletes around here.
And so, I mean, really, kind of your peak season is right now. Guys are in town for summer training before training camp. Also the pre-draft, pre-combine training in the spring. It's a little dead period like in OTAs when guys are gone. But to fill that void, you're training, other sports.
Yeah.
So talk about like kind of the, just your average Joes that come through here every single day to get training, and then also like the other athletes that come, like Michael Chandler and some of the other sports that you have been able to impact.
Yeah, I mean the one of the best things I'll say about my job is I get to work with every single person from every walk of life.
Yeah.
And that's what I love, because I feel like it allows me the opportunity to connect with people in different places and different spaces.
Yeah.
And so I am, really trying to create a community of just hardworking, positive, motivated, individuals. And so, you touch on the fact that we have, I don't get me wrong, I love training pros.
Yeah.
Like, I love those guys. It makes me feel like one of the guys.
Yeah.
It gives me that locker room, because that's one thing you can't get back, right? Some guys don't miss the game at all.
Yeah.
But they miss the locker room. They miss the bus rides.
Yeah.
And so I don't miss the game at all. I couldn't take a hit right now to save my life. I'd be broken in 3 different places. But having the pro guys around gives me that camaraderie that I'm missing. But I'll say there's nothing better than working with, adults and kids.
Yeah.
Because that's the community. That's what I really want to create. Y'all are only home for 3-4 months a year.
Yeah.
So
that clientele's like your backbone, right?
And so the people that are coming in at 5 a.m. every day, 6 a.m. every day, 8, 9:30.
Yeah.
Those are the people who make the brand, who make the business, who make me.
Yeah.
And without them, I'm not sitting here.
Yeah.
And so I really, really love the fact that we can create a community of, for lack of a better term, average Joes. I'll tell you this: those people put in some.
No, well, that's why I struggled with finding a term, because I see who
but everyone
train.
says that.
I see the women you train, I see the men you train, and by no means are they average, because these guys are running stadiums, they're running laps, they're pushing and pulling weight that average people cannot do.
And
these are people that are stay-at-home moms, or work that 9 to 5, whatever, the business. They're in the suit and a tie all day.
Yeah.
But they come in here and they're committed to the 5 a.m. classes. That's hard.
And that's what I love about my job is I wake up at 3 or 4, and I'll get here at 5, and I want to be the first. From the first face you see, I want it to be smiling.
Yeah.
I want to create that positive energy for you to go attack the day, to knock this workout out, make it the hardest thing you do all day, right? And then from then on out, you just crush the day, because you've already put in the work in the morning prior to you getting to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's just it's an opportunity and a blessing for me to be able to create a community to where, the dad can come in at 5 and 6 before everyone wakes up. The mom comes in at 8 o'clock after she drops the kids off.
Yeah.
The kids come in the afternoon and train, and then we all sit down at the dinner table.
Yeah.
And we talk about our workouts and our days, and that's one thing that we all can share.
Yeah.
Is we all had a workout, at Athlete, at our own different times.
Yeah.
It was cool today. I had a mom come in at 9:30, and then her daughter trained with me at 2:30.
Yeah.
And so they're both talking about, oh, my workout was harder.
Yeah.
And so I just love that community vibe, because that's what Athlete is. It's going to be that. We want to cater to the athletes. We want to cater to the pros, but we also want to understand or know that our backbone is the community.
Sure.
And without them, there isn't us.
Yeah, and let's talk about a little bit of kind of the energy you do bring, because I've noticed, from afar. Again, we don't train one-on-one together, but I've noticed the energy and the aura that you bring every single day, which is extremely difficult, because you are in a people driven business where it is all customer service. It is all like your energy needs to be in each individual that comes in here at any given time. You mentioned you're up at, before we started this, you're up at 2, 3 in the morning. You have 2 kids at home. You got a wife. So let's talk about your daily schedule. What just a normal day for J Holt looks like. And dude, how have you been able to bring that same energy, bring that smile, not only to the workplace, but when you've been here for 12 hours, how do you bring that smile and energy back home to the family?
Yeah, I mean, so going back to a typical work day, I would say my first class, my first priority of the day starts at 5 a.m.
Okay.
So that's when the first class comes in. So I used to I was in this, wheel of wake up at 4:30.
Yeah.
Get there at 5:01.
Yeah,
They joke with me a lot. Like
yeah.
Get there at 5,
Yeah.
and train 5, 6, 8, 9:30,
Yeah.
12, 1, 2, 3. And I just found myself like in a spinning wheel. Like, dude, I'm just waking up and doing the same thing.
Yeah. You're just in motion.
I'm not making any progress.
Yeah.
And so I just realized if I really want to spearhead this with 2 kids at home,
Yeah.
it can't be stay up late.
Yeah.
It's got to be wake up early and get your own time, because by the time that you've given everyone everything
Yeah.
at 10 p.m.,
Yeah. You got nothing left.
your feet are up.
Yeah,
You're like, I'm not about to
Yeah.
work on myself right now.
Yeah.
So I have to spend that time in the morning to work on myself. And in that time, I've been able to really, really, really possess a position of gratitude, which allows me to go throughout the day with a smile and a positive energy, which I've always had before, but sometimes you're faking it more than you have to. And I feel like people can tell when it's genuine and not.
Yeah.
And so, just to be genuine behind it and push through and understand that, man, sometimes I feel the weight, but I also know that, just by me getting up early and getting in the word and really diving into who I am as an individual, not what I do, you understand that pressure is a privilege.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that if those expectations are there of you, that means that people think highly enough to put those on you.
Yeah.
And so when you attack that with gratitude, detach any type of, whatever tethered, you detach yourself from whatever you think the outcome may be, and you give it to God. It's just one of those things, man, where you can literally wake up every day, not worry about the income or the outcome, and solely work within your gifts that He's given you, and just be grateful that you get to do something, and be grateful that I get to have something. Like, I just think about my family at home, my wife and my 2 kids, and I'm like, dude, people would kill for 2 healthy kids, a wife that's beautiful like mine, and a job that they get to wake up and don't feel like they're working.
Yeah.
And so if I can put everything in perspective, dude, how am I not winning?
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's one of the things where it's so easy for me to jump in every day and have that smile on my face and go at it guns blazing. Because, I mean, relatively speaking, I've got it made. And, waking up is becoming easier and easier. It was hard at the beginning. But then I just started looking, I'm like, dude, it's already people in Tokyo have been up for 12 hours. So I might as well get up. And it just allows me to, like I said, get in the word. There's a few songs I like to listen to. I've never been a big meditating guy. Dude, silence is so loud for me for some reason. So I totally respect the people who can be disciplined enough to really shut everything off and get to where, for me, my meditation is in moving weights. So if I've got to get here at 3:30 a.m. and turn on a podcast or turn on a gospel song and lift, that's what I do.
I mean, I feel like that's my therapy too. That's my quiet time. Like you said, the silence is loud, and I can attest to that because I can't sit. When I have a rest day, there is no plopping the feet up on the couch and chilling and watching Netflix for 12 hours. No, that's not rest for me. Rest is when I go into the gym and I have 2 to 3 hours where I'm lifting. Then I go maybe sit in the sauna. I'm listening to a podcast. That is therapy for me. And I feel like we can relate to that. And a lot of people in our profession, I feel like that is therapy. And even if I wasn't playing ball, the gym would still be that hospital for me where we have church and the spiritual, even the gym is kind of spiritual too. I feel like a lot of the incredible affirmations that you feel and you can sense, and you're almost you're talking to yourself sometimes, or you're talking to God, that happens in the weight room, happens on the field. That's our little sanctuary, and so it's really cool to hear that you have that, but it took some time to build that routine where you're disciplined, because now you got a wife and 2 kids at home. It's easy for J Holt, the single man, to wake up at 4:30 and just go to work and come back. But yeah, now that pressure that you feel is a privilege, but it's very real too. And there's got to be times where, as a trainer, you always have to be on. Is there ever a time that you feel burnt out, or who is your, when you have that burnout feeling where you just like, I just don't want to talk to anybody right now. I just want to curl up in a dark room, go to sleep, and just be by myself because I'm around people constantly. Who is a person in your life that like helps you just kind of like maybe keep that perspective that you just shared, or helps you just get re-energized?
Yeah. So I went through a phase where I was kind of burnt out. I went through a phase where I was kind of just like, dude, but I'll say it hasn't really been a person because I haven't really sought out counseling the way that I should have.
Yeah.
But me and my wife, you know, we just decided, we sat down together and we said, you know, for us to be who we want to be, we need to actively seek counseling together, whether we're having issues or not.
Yeah.
So we did couples therapy for probably about a year and a half. Regularly. And I found out so much about myself. And I found out my love language. And I found out all that stuff. And so by me finding that out, you know, I was able to know like what I needed from her, or what I needed when I was burnt out. And it's something as simple as, you know, like some guys, they, you know, they need a gift, or, you know, they need, you know, some type of physical touch or quality time. Me, you don't have to give me a thing. You don't have to spend a minute with me. You just got to tell me good job. Right. If you tell me like, hey, I appreciate you. That's all I need. Like, I'm just a words of affirmation. It's as simple as that. That's the best way to love me. And, you know, for the longest, like, you try to, you know, impose your love language on, you know, your spouse or whoever's in your life. And you realize that's not the best thing to do. So I learned a lot about who I was and how I needed that void to be filled. So then I was able to communicate that with her. And so, because she's the only person that I really feel like if I have something, I'm going to go to.
Which is very important.
And so I don't really, you know, spend a lot of time communicating that type of stuff. Like, oh, damn, she just knows how to love me. And when she does, I get re-energized.
That's cool.
And so,
now is she a stay-at-home mom, or does she have?
No, so she's a grinder.
Okay.
She comes in at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., or 9:30.
So she's working out here too with you? You're the trainer?
No, we don't do that. Okay. We don't do that. Yeah, and so when I'm in those times or when I'm burnt out, she knows how to love me. And then I love music. Like, I've always loved music. And so there's like 3 songs that I always go to that just help me when everything's all here. It just helps me grab everything and bring it back here. And it's those 3 songs that I always go to. It's As by Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
And that song just always, it helps me really grasp, okay, everything and everyone that came before me. And how that is so relevant and who I owe that to.
Okay.
And then everything that's in the present, that's right now, how I need to take everything that they've given me and now materialize that and make it better for the people who are coming after me.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so it's like a full cycle of like that song really just like, for like all 3 verses that he hits on, he really taps into, you know, the past, the present, the future. Okay. So I love that song. Obviously one of my favorite rappers, J Holt, Love Yours. Okay. It's about gratitude and just, you know, no matter what, there's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. That's the whole premise of the song. Okay. And then the last one is In the Stone by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Okay. And that just, you know, it's one of those things where they talk about in the stone. I see that as in the word. Okay. And so no matter what, you know, it's always written in the stone. So whenever you're lost, whenever you need to pick it back up, whenever you're confused or wandering, it's in the stone.
So you touched on your faith quite a bit since we've been talking, and this is really kind of the root of the Stay Ready podcast, is sharing testimony and struggle and just real life stuff. Talk about your faith, man. Where did that come about? How long have you been a believer? And, you know, kind of like just this incredible journey that you've been on personally within your career. I mean, what has God revealed in the process? Now that you are kind of in that mentor, because you really are, you're a coach, you're a mentor, and guys and kids women, men look up to you.
Yeah.
You know, so having that role and that responsibility as a believer, man, what is that kind of just over the years have, let's just talk about your faith journey and kind of what God has revealed in the moment in your career.
Yeah. I mean, so obviously, you know how it is, black kid in the South, growing up, Baptist church, you know.
Every Sunday for 8 hours?
Every Sunday, 8 hours, you know how it is.
Yeah.
But like, no, for real. So we, I grew up going to church.
Yeah.
I grew up knowing the word.
Yeah.
But my mom never pressured me to get baptized or anything. And I had a very unique relationship, just like most kids have with their parents. Like, my mom would find out stuff before I would tell her, just because like I just wasn't a great communicator.
Yeah.
And so I just remember sitting in church. I was 17 years old, and they were doing the altar call, which is basically like at the end of every service, they call they're like, it's their last like cry out for, hey, give your life to Jesus.
Yeah.
I hadn't told anybody.
Just like a public baptism.
I hadn't told anybody.
Yeah.
I hadn't expressed that I was having these emotions with my mom. Honestly, I knew that it was something I needed to do, but I'm 17 years old. Like, I'm still trying to sift through the emotions of what that really means. And like, am I just doing it because I feel like it's the cool thing to do, or am I doing it because I'm convicted?
Yeah.
And I just remember we were standing up, everybody was standing up, they were singing a song, and I felt like a conviction over me, just go down there.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even remember moving. I just remember like, I just started leaving the aisle.
Yeah.
Forgot about my mom.
Yeah.
So like, I'm just walking, and she's like, hold on, wait.
Yeah.
And I look back, and she's like, I'm like, yeah. And like, so I went down there, and she came down, and that was the moment that I said, I'm giving my life to Christ.
Yeah.
And because I'm not a communicator, and because I had to wait a week so my grandma and all my family could come.
Yeah.
So I did it that following Sunday. I gave my life to Christ and was baptized, and I felt, like, you know how it is. Like, you do it immediately. You're like, I'm never going to sin again. Like, this is great. And then
you walk out of the church, man. The devil's waiting for you right there, man.
Yeah, and I honestly feel like the better that I do in life, the more he tries to come in.
No question. Yeah.
And so I just think that me being in the position that I'm in, and having the duties that I have, it's the biggest blessing for me, because now I know, like, okay, I get to be an example of what it is, and I don't want to push it on any kid or anybody. But I know that if I'm on that short list, so every kid, every person, you can probably go back. There's a list, small, probably on one hand you can count of how many people had a huge impact on your life. Mom, dad, uncle, coach. I want to be on that short list. And then when you start looking at that list of people, okay, what are the qualities and characteristics of this person? What are the qualities and characteristics of this person? I want them to always be like, well, he's a Christian, so there's some merit behind that. There might be something behind that. And I'll never forget, one of the proudest moments of my training career was I took a kid to lunch. Inner city kid. And, was dealing with a lot at the time. And so his foster parents, I was like, you mind if I take him to lunch? I took him to lunch, and I was like, you know what, let's pray. And I was like, you know what, you pray. And I just completely, like, I wasn't thinking. He was like, I don't believe in God. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to pray for us if you don't mind. And I said a prayer for him. And, I never wanted him to feel pressured. But I feel like if I live my life the way that he's called me to live it, and I show up every day with a smile, and I've got, a position of gratitude, this ultimate sense of, just confidence and composure and Christianity behind what I'm doing, eventually he's going to be like, yo, like, what do you do?
There's
like, the reason you're sitting here and you're asking me, like, yo, what do you do? And then people are like,
it's curiosity, man.
And so I say all that to say, like, he now is, I don't want to say he's converted. He's not like this, like, preacher or anything. But he listens now. He's like, yo, tell me. Like, and so it's one of those things, if I just bring one to his feet, that's enough for me. You know what I mean? Like, so I just try to live my life every single day as he would have me do it. And if I'm doing it the right way, people are going to be like, dude, there's something more.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever this guy's got going on.
Yeah. Not to put you on the spot, but
No.
is there a scripture that is like just your mainstay? Like, if you can just like write it on the tablet of your heart, I mean, what would it be? I mean, I know there's probably a lot.
So recently, there's so many, right?
Yeah.
Like I've got Mark 9:23 on my side, tatted, and that was probably my favorite one for the longest. It still is one of my favorite ones, but it's like trying to pick a favorite song, right? It's like you can't do it. But I always felt like if I had, you know, it was when I guess it was recently, two verses that have really been stuck in my mind, and I call it the formula.
Okay.
And the formula is hard work and God's work.
Okay.
And so those two things combined, I feel like you can conquer the world.
Yeah.
And so the hard work is Colossians 3:23.
Okay.
Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for men.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like if you can just grasp that and say, you know what, this isn't about me, this isn't about you, this isn't about the outcome, this is about him.
Yeah.
And so when you really dive into that, then that becomes an easy way to just put your head down and grind.
Yeah.
And then the Jeremiah 29:11 is God's word. For I know the plans I have for you.
Yeah.
Plans to prosper you and that give you delight. And so I feel like if you can just couple those two and stay in that lane of hard work and God's work and just be grateful.
Yeah.
It's the blessings will, you know, come hand over fist.
No doubt about it. I think as believers, as young men in the profession that we have, where we are in a people-pleasing business and industry, as an athlete, as a trainer and coach, where we're always under the microscope, so we're always trying to, you know, be better than the next guy, and you know, how can I do better? And it's always the pressure of like succeeding and performing at the highest level is always there.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much freedom in, was it Colossians, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about we're not here to, you know, get the approval of man. We're here to, you know, get the approval of God and through the hard works. That verse gives me a lot of peace and a lot of freedom in my profession, because like, it doesn't matter what the GM says about me. It doesn't matter what the coach says about it. It doesn't matter what, you know, ESPN says or this. It's like, you know, how am I viewed through the eyes of God? And that's always one of those things where, like, when we have a rough day and a bad day, it's like, dude, we're only mad because we didn't please, you know, our coaches or our bosses, or, you know, maybe we may let our teammate down. It just keeps, you know, great perspective on what we're called to do as disciples, as believers. You know, so I really appreciate you sharing those two great verses, because it is very important, especially for the young athletes, to understand it. And it goes back to like identity.
Yeah.
You know, we put the helmet on, we put the shoulder pads on, the jersey on, and we feel like that is the only purpose that we have on this earth. And it's so far from the truth. But our society, it pounds it into our mind that is where your value is at. And you are only as good as you are as an athlete. And once that's why the transition from sport to real life is so hard, because now that jersey is stripped and you don't have people applauding you every single day. And so, as you know, for me, being an older guy in a locker room now, like just sharing that with the young guys, like, hey, listen, like whether your career is a day, a year, or 10 years, like this is just a small window of your life, you know, and what you do outside of this is way more important than what you do here on the football field. Yeah. And it took me a long time to grasp and really appreciate that, you know, because my identity and you can probably attest to this, it was all about ball.
All about ball.
It was all about ball. And it just, my focus was there 24/7. My family was on the side burner because football took precedent. My training took precedent. Yeah. And you eventually get burnt out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I just really appreciate you sharing that, because the lives that you are able to impact on a daily basis is powerful, man. Yeah. So you live in that life and just not, like you said, not pushing it upon people, but just the way you carry yourself every single day, the curiosity is sparked in the minds of like that kid you shared about. So I appreciate that, man. That's beautiful. Before I forget, I do want to talk about. So we have a mutual friend who's my trainer, Justin Todd.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
one of those guys who's a grinder and has kind of carved his own little niche here in Nashville. I know he has the utmost respect for you and Josh. And he's one of the reasons why, you know, I really got into training here, is because he's from Indy and I played in Indy. That's where we met. But he wanted to ask, you know, like, as a father, as a husband, he's newly married, baby on the way. It's like, what is your, and I'll ask Josh this too when I'm on the podcast, you know, what is the best advice that you can give someone like Justin or a young trainer who spends so much time, you know, with the clients?
Yeah.
You know, how do you bring that positive energy back home, and how do you, you know, prioritize family and the fitness, and how do you make it work, man, in a healthy way?
So I would say, you know, it's definitely the biggest, you know, challenge of my day.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you go home after you've been here for 12 hours, however long it's been.
Yeah.
You pull up, you put it in park, and you're just like, I gotta be home.
Yeah.
Like, but when I put it in perspective, and I say, my 2-year-old could care less about what I did today. It's not fair for me to go home to him and place my anxiety or my, you know, issues upon him. He doesn't care. He doesn't know. He doesn't deserve that.
Yeah.
And so when I can literally just put that in perspective and know that also this time with them is so short.
Yeah.
It may feel like forever because the days are long.
Yeah, years are short, man.
But the years are short.
Yeah.
And you look up, and I mean, he's about to be 3.
Yeah.
And it's like, dang, and by the time they're 8,
yeah,
they're not going to want to do anything. They don't have anything to do with me.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to want to go hang out with their friends.
Yeah,
and then I remember being in high school, it was like, I came home to sleep.
Yeah.
That was about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm at school.
Yeah.
And so when you really think about it and you understand, okay, like, once my kid goes to school full time, and they're at school from 7:30, 7:45 to 2 or 3, and they go to practice, then they come home for dinner. I've only got like 2 hours with them then.
Yeah.
So like now, I gotta suck it up.
Yeah.
And for lack of a better term, suck it up. But it's really it's a blessing. It's a privilege for me to have that opportunity. And so, just understanding that, you know what, it's not fair for me to place, you know, anything that I'm dealing with on them because they don't understand nor do they deserve any of that.
Yeah.
And so I can come home and am I perfect? No. Every day is a different day. Every day, you know, you have to, you know, find ways to sift through it and try to be a better version of yourself than you were the day before. Yeah. So it's not something that you're ever gonna just like, okay, I got it, figured it out, boom. Yeah. It's like there's no manual for this. Like, wish there was, but there's not. Like being a dad is just it's different for everybody. Like some kids, you know, are harder than others, and some days are harder than others. So I would say just understanding and put it in perspective and knowing, you know what, no matter what I'm going through, it's not fair for me to place it on them because they don't deserve it. Yeah. And all they know is I'm dad. Yeah. And that's all they need to know.
Sure. Yeah.
And I need to be as constant and as consistent as possible. Yeah. And once I figure that out and once you do that, I think that's going to pay off so much in the long run because, you know, they're going to have memories of that. You know?
For sure.
They're going to understand that. Whether they can speak it or materialize it now, like the stuff that they go through subconsciously and subliminally will affect them for the rest of their life. Yeah. And whether you have memories of being 2 years old or not, like it's still gonna affect you. Sure. And so I want them to have that relationship with me to where it's consistent and constant. Every day he comes home. Yeah. He's the same. Yeah. So
that's good, man. I mean, what to kind of as we move forward to the end of our conversation here, you know, you have athlete, right? Yeah. What's the vision for it? I mean, it feels like for me, right? Mm-hmm. It's almost like maybe a lot of people looking from the outside like, man, J Holt's got it made. Yeah. He's got it. He's got everything. But what is your vision for athlete? Like, what are some of the goals that you want to attain and achieve as a trainer? And where do you see like this, you know, you talk about communities, talk about culture. I mean, what do you aspire athlete to become?
I want it to become a staple in the Nashville area where people know, and they may know a little bit, but I want it to be the number one community spot for every single person of every single walk of life to feel welcome, to feel comfortable, but also know they're going to get pushed outside that comfort zone. And so we're comfortable being uncomfortable. And also just a spot where we can connect, we can help achieve, and just really find ways to be mentors for kids and, you know, friends, and, you know, more than just a coach to our adults. Because I feel like that's ultimately what we want to create. And a bigger brand, a more holistic brand. I want to start a nonprofit. I'm actually in the process of that for, you know, inner city kids that don't have the means and funds to train and can't come in and say, you know what, I'm going to, you know, pay this monthly fee. Because I honestly feel like, touching on what you said, you know, if I can just continue to instill in these kids that what you achieve is nothing compared to who you become in the process. And so I want you to play sports. I want you to dive in. Because I want you to be out of breath, on the line, don't feel like you have anything left, and then you hear my voice say, all right, we got 2 more. And you're like, okay. Because that pushing through and what I had to go through is now what I lean on when I pull up in the driveway and put it in park and I got to go in the house. All right, 2 more. And it's not like, oh man, 2 more. It's like,
but there's days like that where you wish you could just go inside and like go to sleep.
And so you have that ability and that wherewithal and that mindset to know I've got more in the tank. And so if I can help these kids mentally learn how to push through a little bit of hard work and an agility drill, then
that's so
you can
important,
make it
man, because I mean, I you know, the kids that I help, you know, occasionally and whatnot, you know, there's just there's several kids that you come in that just don't have the self-discipline, they don't have the, you know, the self-esteem, and just they just give up so easily. You know, it's like, man, if you could just give yourself one more rep, and it's not even a rep on the bench press or a sprint, it's like if you can give yourself one more hour of study time or whatever the case may be, you're gonna, the projection your life will go on will be completely different than if you just continue to keep giving up. So that I love how you're talking about, like, you know, just like, hey, get on the line, you're gassed, you don't think you can go anymore, but you can. You can go one more rep. You can go 2 more reps, you know, and that's as a dad too. When you pull in the driveway and you're exhausted from 12 hours, you know, work, and you put it in the park, like, hey, I can give another 2 hours, man. I can do this, you know. And I love that because now that's encouragement for me. So when I pull up tonight, and the drive, I'm like, hey, what would J Holt do, right? I love that, man. So 10 on this, I just think it's kind of interesting because you do train and coach so many elite athletes, and I may ruffle some feathers with your answer. And don't be PC on this, but who is the best athlete that you train? When you think of, like, all right, I got the elite of the elite, whether it's a tight end, a positional player, like a skilled player, a DB receiver. I mean, all these guys are elite for those reasons. But when you think of a guy that, like, hey, if I could just pick one to be my all Madden team, who would it be?
Dude, that's tough. Because I'll say this. The best athlete that I train is my wife.
Okay.
And here's why.
All right.
I've got a perfect story. So she was working out one day with her group. And I mean, she came in like 5 minutes before everybody was done. She was done. Right? And one of the guys was like, dang, dude, your wife's a beast. I'm like, yeah, she is. Like, and I'm not gonna name any names, but one of the guys, he was in college, and he's a very, very highly, you know, he's probably gonna play on Sundays. Incredible athlete. A little cocky though. He's like, I can do that. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to tell you, it's different. You cannot do that. He's like, listen, bro, I'm not saying that she's not incredible. All I'm saying is I can do it.
Okay.
So all right, bet. Put him through the workout. Round 1, done.
Okay.
So seeing that and seeing how she's able to just with 2 kids, already had 2 kids, not getting a ton of sleep, waking up in the middle, because she does majority of the stuff at the night. Yeah. So like seeing her do that, and then seeing this guy rolled on the ground, coming back like, bro, no more. Yeah. Like I know I said what I said. I'm taking it back. Yeah. Her for sure. Okay. Her.
What's your wife's name?
Natalie.
Natalie. Let's go, Natalie. Yeah. I did not expect you to give that answer, but that's a really, really good answer. No, does she have like an athletic...
That's not even me. Like I would put her up against.
Yeah. No, I believe it.
In her workout.
Yeah, I believe it.
Now we talk about running routes. You might have to answer.
Sure. Yeah. But does she have an athletic background, or where does that?
She plays soccer and volleyball.
Okay, so she has some sort of pedigree where she's experienced with athletics and whatnot, but. She obviously loves to train. So I see the women that come in here on a daily basis who are running the stadiums and
I'm talking about like those ladies at 8 and 9:30 are by far some of the hardest workers and best athletes. Yeah,
discipline
that come through here on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
They put it in,
and that's the community and culture that's here.
I mean, they make me question my athletic ability. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I'm supposed to work out at 8 a.m. I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to get my rep up yet, you know?
And I can tell they take a lot of pride in that class, too. It's like everyone holds each other accountable. They're pushing each other. I hear them running from the gym all the way to the stadiums. Like, it's impressive, man. Yeah. So I love that you gave that answer, man, because that's a shout out Natalie, man. Yeah. That's cool, bro. Well, man, I truly appreciate you sharing your story, man. We got to know each other a little bit better, man. No, but honestly, you are an incredible ambassador for your industry. You're an incredible mentor to, from the elite of the elite, to the middle school kids, to women, to men of all different walks of life. Like I said, you bring that energy. That's what attracted me to you. Yeah. Like, hey, I want to talk to Jeremy because, bro, you have that smile, you have that energy, you have that charisma every single day, and it's not easy to do. But it's obvious that you love what you do. Your passion is here. And you've created this community, and it's incredible to watch from afar, just like, because I think our first time meeting you was 2020 during COVID.
Yeah, with Benny, we were at Rose Park. Yeah.
So everyone had to go to Rose Park because there was no public gym for, everyone had to be outside. So you had that community there. Then obviously, you can come back to Lipscomb and all that kind of stuff, but that's where it started, and just been like attracted to the energy that you do bring, because I love that's what gets me motivated and encouraged. And I know that's what a lot of guys seek, because, there's not a lot of people in your position that bring that energy every single day. So I appreciate that of you, man. And to be a believer and a disciple here in this setting is incredible. So I just continue to encourage you to be that shining light, man. And continue to touch all these lives, man. And leading by example as a husband, as a father, as a coach and mentor, man. And a brother in Christ, man, and I love you, man, for that. So thank you so much, man.
Love is right back at you.
Yeah, let's have a year, man, and keep it up, bro. And check out Athlete online, Instagram, Twitter, and we're here in Nashville, right here at Lipscomb Academy. So check it out. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and we'll see you next time on the Stay Ready podcast. Thanks. Thank you for tuning in to Stay Ready, the podcast. If you like today's episode, please comment below, like, and subscribe to our channel. I appreciate you all. We'll see you next time, and stay ready.